This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.
Hi everybody, good evening. I'm Saumit Raju. I secured AIR 355 in this year's civil service exam, and my optional was political science, and my scores in political science were like this. So my scores in political science were as follows. In 2019, the first attempt which I gave, my scores in paper 1 and paper 2 were 131 and 117, totaling 248. And in this year's 2020 exam, my scores are 138 and 142, totaling to 280. So firstly, I would like to talk about how I went about my first learnings in political science. So first I looked at the syllabus and the question papers, and in the syllabus and the question papers the topics were very interesting. I found topics and questions on Gandhi, Ambedkar and Aristotle, Plato, which I found very interesting because I've never even read about those philosophers, or I know about Ambedkar and Gandhi, but we do not know what they have taught to be concise in their political philosophies. So this interested me a lot, and that is one of the reasons which I choose political science. And political science also has quite a good overlapping on the general studies subjects, that is GS1. We can write answers, we can quote some political science concepts in culture answers as well as society answers, questions related to women. And in GS2 there's a lot of overlap. There are a lot of concepts which come in GS2 question paper, which can be directly borrowed from the political science syllabus. And also in ethics we can quote a lot of examples from political science, because we have those students who choose political science and read political science have a lot of thinkers and concepts which can be used in multiple places. So there are a few thinkers like Bentham who speak about ethics and how they look at ethics, what is ethics for them. So we can directly quote these people in ethics paper as well. And essay, I feel political science contributes a lot because of the different perspectives which we study in political science. These different perspectives can be directly borrowed into an essay, and in essay major scoring will happen if we give a lot of different perspectives, how a single topic can be looked at from different dimensions, and how are we thinking on that topic. For example, in this year's essay there's a topic, life is a long journey between human being and being humane. So that essentially means that while living a life, a human being must also behave human. He must have values, and morals. But there's a thinker in political science who we come across. His name is Friedrich Nietzsche, and Nietzsche speaks about will to power, and he has written a book called Beyond Good and Evil, which essentially talks about leaving the morality aside, because morality is for weaklings, and how Nietzsche's concept directly attacks the meaning of that particular essay. So I've included Nietzsche also in the essay, and this is how political science is helpful even in essay as well. So going ahead to how I prepared for political science. So in the paper 1 in political science majorly deals with political theories, thoughts. For example, the Western political thought, we read about Aristotle, Plato, J.S. Mill, Bentham, Rousseau, John Locke, all these people. And Indian political thought, we read about Gandhi, Ambedkar, Kautilya and a few others. So apart from this political thought, there are also theories on state, what different people have spoken about state. Is state needed or not? We read about Marxism, we read about different types of Marxism, what are the modern Marxists saying compared to the previous socialists. So there's a lot of interlinking and comparisons in paper 1, part A. And in part B, the syllabus majorly revolves around Indian political thought, and how India's political structure is, what is a deal with parliament, how is parliament functioning right now, and what are the challenges the functioning of parliament is facing currently. What is the model of presidential system in India, president in India, the post of president, and how is the post of president has been changing, how it depends on the person taking that post, and how is the power of prime minister changing since the independence. For example, in the initial days, majorly the power was concentrated in the prime minister itself. But slowly, when different ministers were given power, for example, during Lal Bahadur Shastri's period, the individual ministers also had a lot of power. And how this power structure has been changing, and how is the party system revolving. So all these concepts will be covering in Indian political thought. And in paper 2, the major the part 1 deals with international relation theories, how the different thinkers have spoken about international relations and the relations between countries from a liberal international perspective or from a Marxist perspective, and different various others. So how I've gone about my preparation strategy for political science is that firstly I took classes from Subra Ranjan Academy, and she took a 5 months course. I went to Delhi, and I stayed there only for these 5 months and took classes for political science. Today, the classes are available online. You can take them online, or any other institute is also offering political science courses. But her notes is one of the major source for many people who are clearing political science, because her notes are very crisp, and she covers a lot of points which can be directly picked up and written in answers. So this is how her notes have become like a kind of a bible for all the political science students. And so I, for the 5 months which I have been attending classes, the class used to go on for 2.5 hours every day, and after the 2.5 hours I used to revise for 2 hours. The very same concepts which she has taught in these 2.5 hours, I used to read in these 2 hours, and the next day before the class I used to study for 1.5 hours again. So every day I used to spend these 6 hours for political science, revising again and again. So every day's concept which have been taught, I'll revise on the same day, and the next day before the class I'll revise the previous day's concepts. So, and after a week I used to revise all the 1 week's concepts, or the preparation which we have done with the classes which we have been taught. So like this, there have been a lot of multiple revisions. Even for the very first time I have been taking the classes also. It's not just after the classes I have revised multiple times, but during the classes also there have been a lot of multiple revisions which I did during the course of time of those 5 months. And why I am stressing again and again on reading multiple times and doing revision multiple times is because political science deals with a lot of abstract concepts, and these abstract concepts can be understood again and again. And till now I might have done multiple revisions, like around 15 to 20 revisions till now. But if you ask me to revise again the 21st time, I'll understand something new in the concept. So this is how every time you revise, your clarity on the subject keeps on increasing. So this is how political science concepts are, and that is why multiple revisions is always helpful for us. No matter how many times you revise, you will find out something new in the concept, a different understanding will come. Or the more times you revise, you will interlink different concepts. For example, the third time I revise something, I'll directly compare the concept of justice in the ancient Western philosophy and in the modern John Rawls justice concept as well. And this is a question which came in this year's examination, comparing the concept of justice between the ancient Western world and John Rawls. Or for example, how justice differs for John Rawls and Amartya Sen, or for Plato and Aristotle. How, if a debate happens between Plato, Aristotle, John Rawls, Amartya Sen, everybody sitting in a single room, what will each other debate about? How John Rawls will counter Aristotle's point, how Aristotle will counter uh, Amartya Sen's point. So this is how this much of understanding is needed, such a depth of in understanding is needed for writing good answers in political science. And this only comes when you revise again and again and try to understand the topics rather than remembering them. So you don't need to remember what are the thinkers saying, what words they used for the very first time. So the first few times you read, just try to understand what these thinkers are saying. And when you are woken up in the middle of the night, and if I ask you a question on how J.S. Mill would react on a concept on democracy, for example, there in one of the test series which I have written, a question has come on how Karl Marx would comment on the current state of globalization. That's a very abstract question, hypothetical question. So we should be able to answer even such questions. And the understanding to answer such questions would come only when you revise multiple times and understand those abstract concepts. And those, for example, if you ask me about Karl Marx, all the major concepts which Karl Marx has said about or spoken about must come to my mind. And I will link these concepts of Karl Marx to current state of globalization, and that is how I'll go about writing an answer. So that is why revising multiple times is very important for political science. And along with revising multiple times, start writing answers as well. I mean, take a test series, take it for a few months, 3 or 4 months, even before prelims, and start writing answers. And while writing answers, try to get them corrected, compare it with the toppers' answers, and try to borrow the points which toppers are giving, or which is provided in the solutions as well for the test series. So pick up these, make a question bank, write questions and answers, and try to correct your question again and again, edit your question, go back to your answer, and try to replace the introductions, try to replace the conclusions, change the body structure. So this is how you make your answer better. And by the time your preparation is done, you need to have a good answer for a question, and that answer can be used for revision directly, because you don't need to go back and revise the whole concept. You can just revise the question and answer which you have written for that concept, and if a question comes on that particular concept, you can directly reproduce it there. So after prelims, what I have done, I have taken a test series, and I have made a question bank, and I have used one of the toppers. His name is Tushar Gupta. So he has shared his Evernote notes on Quora. You can check it out. You will find his Evernotes on PSIR in one of his Quora answers, and he has made a very beautiful notes in Evernote, where he took Shubhra Ranjan madam's notes, and he wrote it in a more concise manner, and also in a question and answer format for some of the topics. So I have taken his notes and I have added my own content when I am trying to. So I took his notes and I started reading parallelly from Shubhra madam's notes, and my goal was only that I should not go back to the notes and read those bulky notes again and again. So I wrote whichever was missing in Tushar Gupta's notes, or whichever topics I wanted to add here, I added them here. And this is how my notes became very comprehensive, and I also added my own question and answers, the tests which I gave. From those, I picked one of the best best answers, and put them in the Evernotes as screenshots. And while preparing between prelims and mains, it became very easy for me, because I need not go back to the notes. I just used to revise these Evernotes only, and this revision was quite faster compared to the previous times when I revised directly from the notes. And how to make the notes. So if you look at Tushar Gupta's notes, the notes are in such a way that there are a lot of pictures, and the concepts are beautifully divided, and there are a lot of pictures. For example, you take a concept, green revolution's impact on Indian politics. So there are a lot of thinkers who have given opinions on this concept, and so my notes used to have a table, and in the table different thinkers, thinker 1, thinker 2, and his picture, her picture here. So, and the concepts here, and the concepts are also very concisely put in a few words. For example, 2 words may I used to include in 2 words I used to include the whole concept. So like this, if I have a precise notes, visually that note is sitting in my mind when I revise them multiple times, and when I go to the exam hall and look at the question, for example, the same question, Green Revolution's impact on Indian political thought, the whole note used to come into my mind, and I used to directly reproduce their concepts also directly, because I remember the pictures of the thinkers, and I did not miss any of the thinkers which I have prepared already, because visually these things go and sit in our mind and they last longer. So that is why note making is very important for all the subjects, but especially for optional and especially for political science, I feel, because there are a lot of thinkers and experts whom we need to quote in our answers. Such note making helps us in remembering them and reproducing them in the exams. So apart from notes, apart from Subra madam's notes and directly borrowing from her notes, I also used to refer a few other sources. For example, newspaper was one of the major source, especially Miss Suhasini Haidar's articles. In the Hindu, and now she is also hosting a show on YouTube's the Hindu's channel, which is called Worldview. Worldview. Apart from this, there are a few other sources which I used to follow for international relations. For example, there's a channel called Strat News Global. And in Stat News Global, there are many shows which give us a perspective on the current happenings in international arena, and especially there's a show called The Gist. Apart from this, there are other sources like Big Picture, which is hosted by Frank Rosen Pereira in his YouTube channel called Bharata First. And there's a government channel called Sansad TV. In that there is a new show called Perspective. Not just for this is not just for international relations and political science. These shows also help you in GS answer writing as well. So I used to pick up points and opinions of thinkers and experts from these shows and include them in my notes as well. So and in the note making itself, apart from making these visual notes and adding multiple perspectives and picking up points from different sources, I also did an exercise just before a few days before mains examination, and that is of interlinking concepts. So when does a person generally interlink concepts? When he has very good understanding of different topics or concepts in the syllabus, and when he has revised multiple times, and when he has thought in such a level of depth that what if Aristotle debates with J.S. Mill on something else, and if how can you bring up a concept of comparative politics in Indian political thought? So after you get such an understanding in the concepts, what I did was I wrote what are the major topics on which questions might come in paper 1 and in paper 2 as well, and majorly in paper 2 in comparative politics. So in comparative politics, there are a lot of concepts and theories. So for example, to quote an example, in paper 1 in Indian political thought in 2018, there was a question in 2018 there was a question on Tuticorin environmental movement. Although I was preparing for the first time in 2019, I looked at the PYQs and I guessed that there would definitely be another another question on environmental movement in this year or next year's paper as well. And I prepared an introduction for if so and so question, if some question comes on the environmental movement, I already prepared an introduction. And my introduction was in such a way. I wanted to interlink topics, and I took comparative politics, and in comparative politics there is a theory called political modernization theory. And in political modernization theory, what this theory says is that as a country develops, for example, as India is going towards path of economic development, and as economic growth happens and it is moving from developing to developed country, the rights consciousness in people gets developed. People start thinking about their rights. People understand that there are also different kinds of rights like environmental rights, and they start this consciousness as this consciousness develops, they also start making movements and demands for the rights. So that is how in the Tuticorin environment movement I linked with the political modernization theory and said, as India is on the path of economic development, slowly the environmental consciousness in India has increased, and people are moving to people are demanding for environmental rights, and this can be seen in the recent Tuticorin movement which has happened. So this is how interlinking concepts will make the answer much more interesting for a reader, and that will also help us in getting that X factor in the answer, perhaps a few more marks. And answers must always be to the point, so we need not dilly-dally around different concepts and miss the major core of the answer. So an answer can be in such a way. Generally, what is looked at in an answer? Understanding of the concept, major points or thinkers, are these covered? Interlinking, and a good introduction to keep the reader hooked to the question. If your introduction is good, it shows that the reader will also be interested in reading your body also more, and a good conclusion. And it is very good and becomes easy if this introduction and conclusions are prepared beforehand, even before you go to the exam hall. So thinking on the spot for the introduction and conclusion becomes a little tricky, because we do not get very good ideas on the spot. Not everybody gets the good ideas. So to reproduce a very good answer, if you can prepare the introductions and conclusions beforehand, for example, while making notes for IR, what I have done was, I made a question bank, and in the question bank I took the syllabus and previous year questions and wrote down a few questions. For example, relations between India and Russia. So everything about this in an answer. And for example, what I covered here is present relations, challenges, opportunities, introduction, conclusion. And introduction can be a little attractive. For example, for India and Russia, I've quoted Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement that even a 6th class person knows who India's best friend is. So if that is how a few introductions and conclusions are prepared. And for example, how I prepared introductions, which I remember till now, is that changes are happening in Afghanistan. And at that time, Taliban has not yet come to power. Now it is in power. So for example, if I want to write about, if a question comes on how Taliban's coming to power, how this will impact India or South Asia So I already prepared an introduction for this, and this is I don't remember who the exact thinker was, but he was saying that right from the times of Mauryan period to current times, happenings in the Kabul Valley have always impacted the politics in the Ganga basin or the Ganga Yamuna region. So that's a very attractive statement which can be used as an introduction, because the question is directly asking how the political change in Afghanistan is impacting India. And you are bringing a theory that right from Mauryan times to the current times, how the changes in the Kabul Valley have always impacted the politics in the Ganga Yamuna region. And this statement is a very interesting statement which is written in the political science language, and this language is very important in political science. So it is very important to look at the newspaper articles and YouTube debates and discussions, and observe how these experts or these theorists are making the statements, and which language they are using, which words are they using. So using the same words in your answers will make the examination corrector, if the evaluator feel that this person has good enough knowledge in political science and he also follows the news or articles regularly, and he is speaking in a political science language. So that is why this language is very important in your political science answers. And for example, to give you another example on how I used to prepare for introductions, so I also prepared a answer on how, if the question comes on deglobalization, that is how globalization is, how the world is getting contracted over the years since the 2008 financial crisis to the COVID pandemic, how countries are closing their borders and how this will affect the world. For example, such a question comes. So in 2019 political science paper, in paper 2, there was a question on how USA's unilateral decisions have impacted the world bodies like WTO and others. So this is in fact a derivation of deglobalization question only, because how USA is contracting from the world arena, it is becoming more and more isolationist, and how that is affecting the symbols of globalization, that is these bodies like WTO. So I prepared a introduction for that question, and the introduction went like this. In September 1919, then President of USA Woodrow Wilson has given a speech, 14-point speech if to be precise. And in this speech, he has spoken about the importance for international cooperation and how all the world can develop together if there is a lot of cooperation, and this is a symbol of the start of globalization and global cooperation. But in September 2019, in UNGA, Donald Trump has turned the tables on this approach of USA. What he has spoken about is that globalization is a thing of the past, and those countries will survive in today's world which are more and more nationalistic and less and less global. So a statement of this kind. And while following news, I came across this Donald Trump statement, and when I made a note out of that, and when I was revising multiple times, I realized that 1919 and 2019, there is exactly 100 years gap. and I wanted to create a very attractive introduction that in 1919 Woodrow Wilson has spoken about the League of Nations and international cooperation and globalization, and in 2019 Donald Trump is speaking in a different language, in a completely opposite language, and how US's approach towards the world has changed from a globalization to deglobalization perspective. And this is a very attractive introduction to give for a question on deglobalization. And apart from the introductions, conclusions, and making a question bank for each topic in the syllabus. For example, in my question bank, when I prepared for this year's international relations, I also made a question on India's contribution to peacekeeping force. This is a very static question. UN peacekeeping force. This is a very static question, but I took a test series from Subhraranjan madam, and in that test series there was a question on this, and when I looked at the previous year questions, there are a lot of times this question has been asked. So I created a simple question and answer where I wrote 3 points, 3 subheadings and 3 paragraphs for this, and a conclusion and an introduction. And this in the question bank there were around 30 to 35 questions which were most expected. There was a question on India and SAARC, how SAARC is dying. There was a question on non-alignment movement. So in the syllabus, for every point, for every concept, there was a question and answer, and that was my revision notes for most of the times between prelims and mains. And this is how I was able to reproduce directly, because I remember the subheadings also multiple times, and I have studied in the question and answer format. This helped me a lot in writing good answers. For example, even if the same question does not come, even if a related question comes, we can directly pick some of the points in these subheadings, because you are reading only the most targeted concepts here, instead of reading a lot of cluttered things in our notes. You are reading a very targeted points and subheadings, and these can be directly reproduced in your answers. So that is why making a question bank makes our work a lot easier. I did this only for political science paper 2, but I realized that had I done this for GS 1, 2, 3 and 4 as well, things would have been much different and I would have scored much better, is what I feel right now. So that is why start making a question bank, write questions and answers, and read those questions and answers, revise those answers, edit those answers, add more content, change the introductions and conclusions if you find better things, and keep revising them again and again, and that is how mains can be tackled, is what I feel. So that's it majorly. This is how I prepared for political science. Write more answers, read again and again to understand the abstract concepts, and try to think in your own mind, what if Aristotle debates with John Rawls or Amartya Sen, what they would talk about, what points would Aristotle say and what points would John Rawls counter on. And that is how, if you make these kind of debates in your head, they'll go and sit in your mind and you can easily reproduce in the exam. So that is why a lot of thinking goes behind writing good political science answers and understanding the concepts, and a lot of answer writing practice will also fetch you good marks. So thank you. That has been my strategy.
This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.